Usually when we talk about the tools we use every single day, um, there is this comforting expectation of cause and effect.
Right, like an action and a reaction.
Exactly. Think about swinging a hammer. You pick it up, you swing it, the nail goes in, and then you put the hammer down, and it just sits there, perfectly still on your workbench. It is completely inert until you actually need it again.
Yeah, it requires your kinetic energy in your specific direction to have any utility whatsoever. I mean, the tool doesn't know what it's building. It only knows the immediate physics of the strike.
Right. But imagine walking into your garage, and that hammer, it sees you looking at a pile of wood and a blueprint.
Yeah.
And suddenly it just floats up and starts framing the walls for you, checking the measurements against the paper.
That completely changes the paradigm.
It totally does. It moves from a piece of hardware you manipulate to an active participant in your workflow.
Mm-hmm.
And that shift from passive instrument to autonomous agent is exactly what we are exploring today.
It's really a fundamental rewiring of human-computer interaction.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really fascinating stack of notes, technical breakdowns, and excerpts straight from the Android show, detailing the arrival of Gemini and what Google is calling the future of mobile AI.
It's a lot to cover.
It is. And our mission for this deep dive is to look at how Google is attempting to basically change our entire relationship with our devices. We are talking about a massive structural shift, taking our phones and laptops from tools that just wait for our input into independent helpers that actually execute the work for us.
And we're not just talking about chatbots living in a server somewhere giving you a recipe for banana bread.
Right.
We are looking at operating-level integrations happening on the screens we stare at all day long.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure we keep this super accessible. You do not need to be a software engineer to get why this is a big deal. We are going to focus on the practical, everyday ways this technology will change how you buy groceries, how you send texts, and even how you commute.
Yeah, keeping it grounded is key here.
So the easiest way to visualize the mechanics of this shift is to look at how we currently use our phones. Think of your current smartphone like a massive, incredibly well-stocked library. You have access to every piece of information on Earth, but you still have to walk down the aisles, find the specific books, pull them off the shelf, and read them yourself to synthesize the data.
Because your apps are the books.
Exactly. They are closed off from one another. What Google is doing with these new updates is basically like giving you a universal master key and hiring an autonomous intern. An intern who not only bypasses the locks between the library sections, but actually pulls the data from multiple books, cross-references it, and runs your errands based on all that synthesized information.
That master key analogy perfectly frames the architectural changes we're seeing in Android 17. Because historically, the smartphone experience has been intentionally sandboxed.
And for beginners, sandboxing just means the apps are kept in their own little separate containers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Security protocols dictated that App A couldn't see what was happening in App B. So if you had a grocery list in your Notes app and you wanted to order those items on DoorDash, you had to act as the human bridge.
Oh man, the tedious copy-paste loop.
Right. You open the notes, copy the text, close the app, open DoorDash, paste, search, click add to cart, go back to your notes, and repeat.
It's exhausting just saying it out loud. You're the one doing all the heavy lifting to bridge those isolated islands.
Yeah.
But this new Gemini Intelligence framework arriving in Android 17 creates a persistent semantic layer over the entire operating system. It bypasses that sandboxing entirely.
It essentially understands the user interface hierarchy of your screen the exact same way a human does. It's not just using APIs to talk to the back end of an app in the dark. It is virtually navigating the graphical interface.
There's a very specific example in the notes that absolutely blew my mind. You hold down the power button, just say out loud, "Gemini, put all the items from my grocery note into a DoorDash cart."
And then it just goes to work.
Yes. The AI literally maps the visual elements of the DoorDash app in the background and executes the clicks on your behalf.
And the distinction there is so crucial. It's deterministic execution based on probabilistic understanding.
Wait, break that down for me.
Sure. So it uses the language model to understand your intent, like you want to buy these groceries, but then it translates that into deterministic hard-coded actions.
Like physically clicking the search bar.
Exactly. Typing milk, clicking the first result, clicking add to cart. It acts as a universal bridge across those previously isolated app islands.
But I have to push back here for a second, because the idea of the AI running errands sounds great in theory, but execution is everything. Is it actually faster to tell my phone to do this cross-app grocery shopping, Or am I going to spend way more time monitoring and correcting the AI than if I just open the app and tap the buttons myself?
That is a very fair point.
Because if it gets confused by the UI and buys 4 dozen eggs instead of a carton of 4, that's not saving me time. That's creating a weird mess I have to clean up.
That is the defining friction point of intent-driven computing. You're talking about the gap between natural language commands and structural database execution.
Right.
The system handles this through confidence thresholds. If the AI sees a note for eggs, it has to decide if you mean the cheapest option, organic, large, or maybe a specific brand you bought last time. Early on, the system might pause and prompt you to clarify, which, yes, does slow you down.
Right. It has to ask, which eggs do you want?
Exactly. But it builds a local vector database of your behaviors. It learns that when you say eggs, you always buy the organic free-range dozen. The efficiency isn't in the first time you run the command, it's in the 100th time.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of custom execution, there's another feature in Android 17 that really caught my eye. It's this text-to-widget generation.
Oh yeah, that is a huge leap forward.
So you can type out a description of a tool you want. Say you're a cyclist, and you want a specific tracker on your home screen that only displays crosswind speed and localized precipitation for your exact route.
Yeah.
You type that in, and the AI literally builds that custom widget for you instantly.
This is generative UI in action. And it's wild to think about. In the past, if you wanted a widget, a developer had to anticipate that need, write the code, package it, and offer it to you in an app store.
They just had to hope someone else already built it.
Right. Now, the AI has this massive library of modular code components, sliders, text boxes, data fetchers. When you ask for the cyclist weather tracker, it pulls the wind speed API, the precipitation API, renders a layout using those modular components, and compiles a mini application right on your home screen.
Just for you?
Yeah, it's creating custom momentary software that exists purely for your unique context.
And this proactive behavior is bleeding right into our web browsing too. Chrome on Android is getting an experimental feature called Auto Browse. The AI can look at the web page you are currently on and automatically perform actions based on the context.
Which is incredibly powerful.
It really is. It can auto-book a parking spot if you're looking at a stadium website or update an online order. If you're staring at a massive 10,000-word article, it summarizes it. It even finds dates mentioned in text and instantly drops them into your Google Calendar.
But how is it moving from just reading text to actually executing a booking?
It's parsing the DOM. That stands for the document object model of the web page.
Okay, so the underlying structure.
Exactly. When you look at a web page, you see text and pictures. When the AI looks at it, it sees a structured tree of actionable elements. Auto Browse uses natural language processing to identify a date, but it uses the DOM to understand that there is an actionable submit button right nearby. It bridges the gap between your intention and the required digital action. Okay, so we have the AI navigating the DOM, rendering code on the fly, and physically clicking around our apps to save us time. But giving the AI control over our user interface naturally escalates to giving it control over our personal output.
Which is a whole different territory.
Totally. It's one thing for the AI to add milk to a cart. It is a completely different ballgame when the AI starts intervening in your actual voice and communication.
We are moving from the AI as an operational assistant to the AI as an active curator of your personal image.
Enter the new feature called Rambler, which is coming to Gboard. And Gboard is Google's default keyboard on Android. What's really vital to grasp here is that Rambler isn't a separate voice memo app you have to open. It is baked directly into the keyboard you already use to text your boss, your partner, your friends. It intercepts the data before it ever hits the screen.
The seamlessness is the point. You don't have to think about it. According to the architecture in the notes, Rambler activates during voice-to-text. It listens to you speak in real time and automatically deletes filler words.
Like the ums and the ahs.
Yeah, the stammers, the long pauses. It takes your raw, unfiltered speech and processes it locally on the device's neural processing unit. Then it polishes it into a highly professional, clean text message before you ever hit send.
What's fascinating here is how the AI actually pulls that off.
Yeah.
Because think about the mechanism. It's not just doing a simple keyword search for the letters UM. And can be a filler word because you lost your train of thought, but it can also be a sign of skepticism or a deliberate pause for dramatic effect.
That's right. Rambler has to be evaluating the acoustic signature of your voice.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How does it know the difference?
Well, the AI utilizes prosody. That's the rhythm, stress, and intonation of speech. It analyzes your pitch and cadence in milliseconds. If the acoustic model determines that your awe is a sign of cognitive load, meaning your brain is just stalling for time, it strips it out.
Wow.
It is actively making executive editorial decisions about what parts of your verbal expression are necessary data and what parts are just audio clutter.
It's literally like having a hyper-vigilant PR manager living directly inside your vocal cords, catching your words before they escape, and perfectly straightening your tie. But I have to ask, and this is a big question, if everyone starts using Rambler because it makes them sound incredibly articulate and polished, do we lose our authenticity?
Oh, that's the big debate.
Right. Does texting just become this sterile battle of two AIs talking to each other, optimizing everything for maximum professional clarity, while the actual human messiness just gets filtered out?
It's the ultimate paradox of optimized communication. By removing the friction, we might be actively removing the humanity. Those hesitations and stammers carry vital metadata about our emotional state.
They really do.
They convey vulnerability, thoughtfulness, or reluctance. Rambler treats those emotional markers as syntax errors to be corrected, rather than vital social signals to be understood.
Sometimes that long, drawn-out, before you answer a tricky question, is the most honest part of the entire message.
Absolutely.
But Google isn't containing this PR manager and autonomous researcher just to our mobile devices. If an AI understands your intent, parses your communication style, and executes tasks across your apps, that intelligence is honestly kind of wasted if it's trapped in a 6-inch piece of glass in your pocket. It naturally have to expand.
It requires a wider hardware ecosystem to execute your intent across the entirety of your physical day, where you work and where you commute.
Say hello to the Googlebook. Move over, Chromebooks. This is a brand new premium category of laptops built from the ground up for AI. Google is partnered with heavy hitters here: Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, and Lenovo.
And these aren't standard laptops just getting a software patch. They are built from the silicon up for AI processing.
Yeah, and the key isn't just the hardware, like this new magic pointer mouse cursor they're introducing. It's the Runer new operating system called Aluminum OS, which blends the laptop and the phone perfectly.
Aluminum OS represents a massive shift in how we handle compute states. Think about the friction you experience right now. You have a spreadsheet and 3 reference tabs open on your phone. You sit down at your laptop, and to get back to that exact workflow, what do?
I usually email links to myself, honestly. It's so annoying.
Exactly. You rely on clunky cloud syncing that takes a minute to update, or you manually reopen everything. You are constantly fighting the boundary between the devices.
It's awful. You feel like you have to constantly re-explain what you're doing to each new screen you look at. So Aluminum OS fixes that.
Yes. What Aluminum OS does is unify the kernel architecture. It allows for real-time state synchronization. It doesn't just hand off a file, it hands off the entire compute state. The exact cursor position, the exact scroll depth on the web page, the exact cross-app tasks Gemini was running, it all instantly mirrors.
It really is like having a highly efficient butler who intimately knows your workflow. You're in the living room working on your phone. You walk into your home office, and the butler smoothly glides in behind you, pulls out your desk chair, and has the exact same documents arranged in the exact same configuration on your monitor.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Google is decoupling the AI from the hardware. The intelligence isn't tied to the phone or the laptop anymore. It is tied to your localized presence. The ecosystem surrounds you and follows your intent seamlessly across physical spaces.
And that includes your commute, too. The deep dive notes highlight a massive redesign coming for Android Auto, with Gemini deeply baked into the dashboard. You can use natural voice commands to plan complex multi-stop road trips, handle those cross-app daily tasks, all entirely hands-free.
The butler gets right into the passenger seat with you.
Exactly. And because of that unified state synchronization we just talked about with Aluminum OS, the car has immediate context on what you were just doing at your desk or on your phone. But bringing this omnipresent agent into the car naturally brings us to the most critical tension in this entire shift.
The truster.
The trust factor. Because a seamless ecosystem is undeniably convenient. But giving an invisible entity a master key to your digital life, allowing it to bypass app sandboxing, access your wallet, read your calendar, analyze your vocal prosody, and connect to the steering column of your car, that is a massive hurdle. I mean, it sounds a little scary.
This raises an important question about the architecture of trust. Giving an AI the power to independently navigate interfaces and execute actions sounds inherently dangerous. Because if it can click Add to Cart, it can theoretically click Transfer
Right.
Funds. Google's engineers know this is a psychological minefield, which is why they are heavily emphasizing structural safety guardrails.
We're talking strict privacy dashboards and localized processing. But the feature that stood out to me the most as a design choice is the introduction of visible progress bars.
Yes.
When Gemini is doing something in the background across your apps, the UI forces a visible progress bar to appear on your screen so you can watch exactly what it's doing step by step.
It's a brilliant piece of psychological engineering, really. When a computer executes a complex task instantaneously in the background, it feels like magic. But magic feels uncontrollable.
Yeah, you don't know how the trick was done.
Exactly. By artificially visualizing the sequence displaying, opening DoorDash, locating item, verifying price, adding to cart it, demystifies the black box. It takes an invisible, instantaneous background process and grounds it in human, sequential logic. For a beginner, it just makes the whole thing feel safe and understandable.
It's like insisting the intern do their work at a glass desk right in front of you, so you know they aren't secretly looking at your confidential files. Plus, they built in hard-coded permission walls, preventing the AI from executing any financial transaction without a physical biometric confirmation from the user, like a fingerprint.
Right. It creates a sense of oversight. The latency is the feature there, not a bug.
So what does this all mean? I have to throw some skepticism at this progress bar idea. If the AI is doing all this background execution at lightning speed, are we realistically going to sit there and watch a progress bar complete every single time?
Probably not.
Think about human behavior. We see a software terms and conditions page that is 50 pages of dense legal text, and we just blindly click agree because we want to get to the actual software. Aren't we just going to end up treating the AI's actions the exact same way?
History strongly suggests that human beings will always default to convenience over vigilance. The trust curve is steep but short. If Gemini correctly orders your groceries, books your parking, and summarizes your articles flawlessly the first 20 times, by the 21st time, you are not going to monitor the visual progress bar. You will just assume the outcome.
You'll just blindly hit approve on the biometric prompt, and suddenly that active helper is running the logistics of your life while you aren't paying attention at all.
Which is exactly why those hard-coded boundaries, like the biometric requirement for purchases, are so vital. The progress bar is theatrical trust building. The immutable permission wall is the actual defense mechanism protecting your bank account when you inevitably start paying attention.
It is an incredible tightrope there walking between total convenience and user autonomy. And that really brings the architecture of this entire shift into focus for us today. We've mapped out a new reality where the tools we use are fundamentally changing their nature.
We really are leaving the era of the smartphone as a passive, sandboxed library. Android 17 and Chrome are stepping in as autonomous agents, parsing UI elements and DOM structures to act on your behalf across previously isolated applications.
And Rambler is utilizing local neural processing to analyze our vocal prosody, aggressively editing our human communication before it even leaves our devices. And we've seen how Googlebook's running Aluminum OS, paired with a redesigned Android Auto, are utilizing unified kernel architecture to synchronize our compute states.
Moving this proactive AI seamlessly from our pockets to our desks and into our cars.
All while utilizing psychological design choices like artificial progress bars to keep us feeling comfortable as the technology literally takes the wheel. The very definition of what a device is supposed to do is pivoting in real time. The hammer isn't just building the birdhouse anymore. It's ordering the wood and painting the roof.
It's a whole new world.
It really is. But as we wrap up this deep dive into Google's evolving ecosystem, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. And it's a thought that really stems from that Rambler feature we explored earlier. Think about the implications of acoustic filtering. If this technology succeeds in perfectly polishing all of our daily communication,
Removing all the friction.
right, if local AI models automatically intercept and eliminate every stutter, every hesitation, every awkward, vulnerable pause before our words ever reach another person, will hearing someone actually stumble over their words become a rare, cherished sign of genuine human emotion and intimacy in the future?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Until next time, keep diving deep.